just want to talk about a few things, man. Maybe get a cool conversation started. Look, I know a lot of people have done their videos and their different things on the new season of X-Files, which has been pretty crazy. Just to start off, I would like to mention that, in my opinion, this whole season of X-Files, which was done by two different writers, by the way. The first episode was Chris Carter. The second, third, and fourth were this Asian guy, last name Wong. I know he was in Law and Order or something like that. And then the fifth and sixth were Chris Carter again. That's why the first, fifth, and sixth episodes stand out very similar, and the middle ones are very similar. But anyway, my favorite were the first, fifth, and sixth. Overall favorite would probably be the fifth. And that was just because a lot of things stood out to me and jumped out to me more than anything else. And so the main thing that stood out, I mean, there was a lot of stuff, man, between, I couldn't believe how many times in scenes that they showed Fox, Mulder, and Scully wearing black and white Masonic, like, together. Like, he would be in all black and she would be in all white, or she would be black and white and he would be black and white. I mean, it was always like this, you can say, oh, it's the government agency thing. Yeah, I get it, but it's also television, so let's look at all avenues here. But that's just one aspect of it, man. I mean, the as above, so below mirrored thing between Mulder and Scully and the other characters, Einstein and Miller. Other than all the things that were being said as far as how we should view alien DNA as the savior, that was a little over the top. A lot could say that this whole X-Files is used to inoculate us from the truth, to take the things that we all talk about and put them on a mainstream level and inoculate them to everybody, so that when it does come out, it's like, oh yeah, I saw that in the episode of the X-Files, man. Like, that's, so we all know that that's part of it. But the main thing about the X-Files that I wanted to point out, and this is just among many different things that I want to talk about, but was the names of the other two up-and-coming agents, Einstein and Miller. Now, Einstein is obviously stands out. E equals MC squared, right? Theory of relativity, all of the breakthroughs that some would claim were stolen from Tesla and perverted, but we won't even go there. I just find it interesting that the name Einstein was used for the comparative to Scully. You see, she's the younger version of Scully. She's the naive, very scientific-minded, not the one trying to disprove anything, the one trying to ride the line. Then you have the Mulder-Miller comparison, which Mulder is the one that's willing to challenge the baseline. He's the one willing to accept a difference. He has that big poster in his office that says, "I want to believe." His characterization is that he wants to let go of the scientific paradigm and believe that there is something more, which makes a lot of sense. That's the characterization he carried all through the first run that they had back in the 90s and into the early 2000s. But the thing that I find most interesting is that everybody would understand who Einstein is, and maybe somebody else did this, and I don't know. I can't cover everything. So, but I did notice, and by the way, there's a helicopter about to go over, so it might get a little loud here. I live right by a military base, so yeah, I do smoke cigarettes too, so don't worry, I'm not going to hell. Jesus Christ is my Lord and Savior. So here come the comments. I can see them already. I'm just waiting for this helicopter to pass. Yep. So, like I said, Mulder is the one that's willing to push the boundaries and willing to accept something that's not the status quo. And what you have is his counterpart in this little pairing of Einstein, Scully, then it's Mulder and Miller. I remember when I was young and I had to do a argumentative paper in college, and I chose evolution because evolution is a theory, and I decided I wanted to prove that it was a theory and that it shouldn't stand up against fact. And I used as a huge reference of mine a man named Riddle. I don't know if any of you guys have heard of him, but He's really good at breaking down the using science against science to disprove their own theory with thermodynamics and this law of entropy and so on and so forth. But anyway, Miller is also a very, very famous scientist who attempted to prove that spontaneous life could come about without any kind of force of God or any kind of supernatural influence. And basically he took a perfect environment, a test tube environment for lack of a better term, and took amino acids and made combinations of those amino acids to create life, to allow life to spontaneously form. And the famous thing about Miller is that if you've taken chemistry or biochemistry or any of this, you know exactly who the Miller experiments are and who Miller is and what it is all about. So basically what he did is he took the amino acids, and amino acids are left-handed and right-handed. They're left-handed and right-handed amino acids. So in a living being, left-handed and right-handed, and they say that because of the way they appear under a microscope. They take on a shape, kind of like your left hand is the same as your right hand, but it's a reverse image, right? It's opposite. A living creature has both left and right-handed amino acids that work together and maintain that life cycle. So the interesting thing is that Miller used only left-handed amino acids to do his project, and by doing this he did in fact create a combination or a combustion of life on a scientific test tube perfect environment level. Well, this is touted in all of our institutions of education as proof that life can be formed spontaneously, which is so untrue, because Mike Riddle points out that the left and right must exist in a living organism. When something dies, all of the right-handed amino acids convert to left-handed through death. That's just part of it. So I find it interesting that, yes, Miller was able to create spontaneous life, but he did it using dead amino acids, if that makes any sense. So anyway, I find that interesting that's something that they're programming into us through the X-Files, with the Scully, Einstein, and then the Mulder-Miller comparison, which is another black and white, as above is so below. The new bloodline enters in the old bloodline. It's all right there, man. So anyway, so the next thing I wanted to bring up was this whole election thing, which seems to be dominating the MSM, which is of no surprise. It's that season. And sitting back, I haven't said anything, but I definitely feel like this whole thing is just some sort of setup. My flesh and my mind want to agree with Donald Trump because I can relate. I feel like he is relating to what the masses as a whole are relating to, as far as all the corruption and just being sick and tired of it. But I feel like it's just a setup, and I look at it like this: if Donald Trump is assassinated or killed, or even politically, because that's now the new way to do it. If he is, then we know that he is the modern day JFK. JFK was assassinated shortly after giving the speech about the monumental conspiracies and secret societies speech. That if you haven't heard of it, I highly suggest you look it up, man, because it's like, it takes the whole official story and just slams it into the dirt. So, I find it interesting that Hillary came out today and is touting her platform, I guess, that she wants to run on, which is free education, institutionalized, of course, for everybody. Obama did the same thing with the free health care, and which is socialism, and which is so interesting because she's running against a socialist, a self-stated socialist. So, I mean, guys, come on! If you can't see all the confunery going on here, then I don't really know what to say. So, I see this all-out push with the mainstream media. they always grasp the GOP candidates when they're trying to choose their candidate. So it's always funny. So now Marco Rubio and Ted Cruz are on fire when really they're not. Really they're not. They're definitely going to try to steal this thing from Donald Trump. I highly suggest everybody check out KJ's Scariest Movie Ever Made, his upload with the Newt Gingrich interview on Bill O'Reilly. Just look it up, man. Newt Gingrich comes right out with it and says it, and you have to hear it with your own words to believe it is what it is. So enough about the election. It's annoying as it is. But the third and final thing I guess I wanted to cover was for anybody out there that might be going through trying to wake up your family or the people you love or the people around you. For me personally right now, it's my mom and dad. My mother is actually gravitating with a lot of momentum towards the truth, and she's become very receptive. A lot of things, it started with Christmas. I pointed out things about Christmas and the pagan worship that goes on for Christians during the holiday seasons. Pointed that out to her, and it's really opened a door. And I just want to encourage all you guys out there that, just be patient, man, because especially when it comes to people like our parents, like I said before, we're the last us are the last generation. I'm 35 years old. My generation, I believe, is the last generation that will have known what it was like to live without all this technology. Everyone after us is clueless. Our parents' generation are the only generation to see it come in at the very end of their life. So the paradigm is much, much stronger there. I encourage everybody just to be patient, do it in love. Don't reveal too much at once, and find something that is an interest that is an interest to the people you care about, and start there, because truth is truth. Truth is like a lion. Jesus Christ is often compared to the Lion of tribe of Judah, and I love that. Truth is a lion. You don't have to feed a lion for it to eat. You just have to let it out of its cage. Once you let it out, it eats on its own. It does just fine. And that's our job. Just let the truth out of the cage, man. Don't argue. Don't argue with people. The argue thing is like it's a trap. It's a trap. Don't go there. You just let the truth out. Boldly, unashamed. Just let it out, because it has power, man. It has power. It absolutely does. It's like a lion. You don't have to teach a lion to eat. A lion, you let it out of the cage, and it will eat. It will eat on its own. So, anyway, I just wanted to throw some things out there and get a conversation going, man. I'm always telling you guys to comment, and a lot of you do, and I appreciate that. And you send a lot of me messages and stuff like that, and that's awesome. I love that, dude. I love the communication, because around here where I stay, there aren't many people that can talk about what we do. And so yeah, feel free to comment if you like my stuff. Go ahead and subscribe, and check out all the stuff I check out. It's all on my channel. All I want to do is just keep the conversation going, guys. So much love, and I hope everybody's doing good. Here we go into March, and everybody take care, and this is Insomniac by Choice. Peace.